Here we are at the webinar. Everyone, welcome. Thank you very much for coming to the webinar. What do we call this webinar? It is from the group. I mean, mostly we're advertising from the group of South Africans migrating to New Zealand, ! Which is a closed group in Facebook. What does it have? 13,000 members so far for a closed group. It's and so. I guess it is got a South African flavor. There are other people coming on as well in Africa and Asia and outside, especially on the archive view. So this is the closed, this is just the chat room that's coming from Zoom. There's also the archive that gets onto YouTube, and I'll leave the link on the, well, in the different places, I'll leave the link to the archive. I think you can probably find it as well. So people are coming in now, and look forward to a great show. We've got a fantastic show with Julia Cooke. She comes from New Zealand Shores, and that's a immigration agency. She's been in the business for 12 years, and she knows what she's talking about from the point of view of the law and bringing a lot of people in. And now there's a new thing that Julie is going to help us understand. After that, Yvonne is coming in, and we've got a special guest as well, who's a freshly immigrated South African who has a story to tell about his journey into Wellington, where he lives now. So I don't know, is it too early, Julia? Would you like, I mean, I can spend a bit more time introducing you.
No, I'm sure we'll get straight into it.
It's a beautiful setting you've got out there. It's just turning dusk here.
It is. The sun's just going down. Yeah, it is getting, and it's getting a bit chilly now, actually. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you in there? Can you present there?
Yeah, I'll stay here.
We've got enough light.
Yeah, so I'll do it fast before there's no sun left. Okay, so we were going to talk about the parent category today, which was announced last week that it is finally reopening after being closed for a couple of years. Which is great news for a lot of people wanting to reunite their families and bring their parents into the country. It's not going to be open until February 2020, so there's some preparation work that can be done, and policies yet to be actually announced and put to us, which we're expecting next month. So the main changes that are coming is that there is, I want to read my notes, that they no longer need to have a guaranteed lifetime income, and you don't need to have settlement funds any longer. But the onus is solely put onto the dependent child, well, not the dependent child, the child of the person who's sponsoring the parents. So now that person now has to earn quite a significant salary to be able to do it. So the numbers are, for a single person wanting to sponsor one parent, you need to earn a base salary of $106,080, which is quite huge. If you wanted to combine with your partner and have a joint income to bring in one parent, you would need $159,120. If you want to bring mom and dad, then the numbers go up. So if it was a solo sponsor bringing in two parents, it's $159,120. Or for a couple to sponsor both parents is $212,160. Those numbers are huge. So a lot of there's been a lot of mumblings in the industry that's sort of ruling out a lot of people. So what they've got at the moment is about 5,000 expressions of interest from the old system that they need to work through to see if any of those people are going to meet the new requirements, and they'll get first dibs on the places because there is only 1,000 places. After that, new expressions of interest that can be put in from February can then be considered. Sorry, did you lose the microphone then?
No, just some static.
Sorry, no, that was me. Sorry. I'll stop touching. Okay. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell of where it's at, and there will be more details around the policy from about mid-November, I believe. So any questions?
If there's any questions that anyone has, you're welcome to throw it into the chat room. I know a lot of people are interested in this topic. it may or may not be concerning those people here. But I guess just based on what you've said so far, 106, I'm thinking if the onus is on the child now, and it's no longer on the parent, if I understood you correct, then 106, it doesn't seem like that much, because really it used to be on the parent, so they're switching it. They have to get the money from somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, but you've got to be earning that. You've got to be earning it. And you have to have been earning it for the 2 years prior to applying. So you have to be a resident for 3 years before you're eligible as a sponsor. And for the 2 years prior to applying, you have to have been earning that level of salary. Now, those salaries are going to increase every year. So from November 2020, that will go up, because they're going to increase it every year with the median wage. So it's always going to be on the up.
I see.
Yeah.
And any sense of, so 1,000 per year so far, there's a pool, there's an allowance of.
Yeah, there's a cap. Yeah.
Cap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And do you see any direction where this is going to go? Like you saw with the others, the changes are coming in, and it's going to be just around the numbers, or is there going to be some health? I mean, any issues there that you could read as well, as far as like the health or age limits or anything like that?
I don't think there'll be an age limit. I mean, it's always going to be health and character are going to be definitely still going to be there. But until we get policy stuff next month, then won't know the nitty gritty details. So
Yes.
yeah, we'll wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions that you have, Cliff?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right.
A lot of people have said that they it's almost better news than them closing it completely. So I suppose yes and no.
Yeah, I think it will hopefully evolve a bit more. This is hopefully just the beginning of it reopening, and this is the initial part of it. Maybe there'll be more to come. I don't know.
Yeah. Thanks, Julia, for sharing.
Yeah, no problem.
That's really great. So there's Julia Cooke. She always comes in. What I like about what you do, Julie, is you come in and you give us the no BS version, direct, straight to the heart. And then, if people want to know those details that are specific to them, of course, you have a service to sell that's specific to them. And there's all sorts of details that can be worked out as far as strategy and that sort of thing goes. But the stuff that I still have questions, no, not so much anymore. But I still had some questions from people that were wondering, about this last change, the October 7th one, where, it's really, it's only you said a couple of times, it's just the talent visa that is affected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So most people are looking at skilled migrant, and there's no changes to that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much. Up next, we have Yvonne. Yvonne, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Tate. All good.
Yvonne has been doing things with migrants coming in, mostly from South Africa, and renting cars and other things, financing as well. And so she sees a flow of people. And as such, with a big flow of people, you get into a lot of details of what people are feeling and thinking when they come in. And Yvonne was especially touched this week, and for a long time, right? Yvonne, you've been thinking about this for quite a while. Is that right? The issue about adjusting.
Yeah.
Homesickness.
I mean, it's a reality for me as well. I mean, I've only been here now for close to a year and a half. So yeah, I've also been through all the stages, and a lot of my clients, it's a concern for them before they come over. I suppose when the reality starts to set that you're actually going to be away from everything that you know. And I've got a lot of people that I've helped that are contacting me now, who some have been here for 6 weeks, others 6 months, and they are feeling very homesick. So I don't know if that could possibly have something to do with Christmas coming up, that festive family season again. But it's definitely peaking. I get at least 3-4 messages a day now of people asking, is it normal to feel this way? Is there something wrong with them? So it's, definitely that time of year.
It seems to come in at the time of year, but then there's also something about just the being here for a certain period as well, wouldn't you say? Like a month or two, or it starts to happen when people reflect back and become, maybe the busy part gets over with, and then you look back and you think, oh, I wish I was with, you know, this person and that group of people doing my braai or whatever it is.
That's it, exactly. And that's what I've been through as well, especially on days like today when the weather was just so beautiful. Look, I'm very thankful for the amazing weather we had. But they say homesickness goes through different stages. There's actually 4 common stages. So I've spent quite a lot of time researching on homesickness. And, you know, I want to be able to tell people the reality of it, as well as that there is hope. It does get better, and it's completely normal all over the world. There's some people who think, oh geez, it must be just be New Zealand that it's so hard to settle and adjust in, but it's not. It's all over. I've spoken to people who have immigrated from South Africa to America, and they went through the same thing, and they're actually in New Zealand now, and they're going through that again. And believe it or not, even they left America or they left the UK, and they're missing there as well. So it's really, I think it's a lot to do with we're creatures of habits as well. So I explain it as the subtle but persistent feeling of being out of place while you're missing familiar faces and places. And again, we're saying that I think it's important to understand what homesickness is and why we get it. And that's probably going to be the best way for you to move forward. And the word pretty much explains itself. You're sick because you're away from home. Some people say they actually feel sick physically and mentally because their whole life patterns change and they're separated from all that home means to them. So experiencing daily life in a new setting, you miss the life that you led with family and friends, and I think that's particularly appropriate now. And at the same time, it's exciting and frightening in its newness and challenges. You start a new job, that's all new and exciting. Over time, you make new friends, you settle into new accommodation, which are often encountered with loads of sadness, which are caused by the exact same things which make you happy. And I think that is where people come and they say, geez, they feel like there's something wrong with them because they're supposed to be so excited, but they're not. Not at that stage. Of course, there are things that still make you happy where you are, but the reality starts to set in. And also, I mean, we start to get worried as time goes by because we realize life moves on. We're getting older, and so are the people back home. Our friends and siblings, they get married, they have children, and birthdays, special occasions. And then you think to yourself, can I really miss all of these things? Is it worth missing all those things? And it's not only the big things, it's a day-to-day that's hard to miss too. The dinners with friends and family, and that's something we miss. We used to have like weekly dinner nights, and when you leave all that behind. The time spent with people who really know you, like really, really know you. Those who laugh at the same things with you and love you despite of everything and because of everything. And those type of relationships take time to build up from scratch, especially when you're selling into a new job, new area, and of course you don't know anybody. In most cases, there are some very lucky people I deal with that have friends or they're coming over to their brother, and that's great. I definitely think those people will be less affected by homesickness. And those type of relationships are rare, important, and very invaluable. And new friends are made. It's slow and it's difficult. And I think sometimes maybe it's our own fault because we've got such a strong attachment to home. And these ones that we start to make never quite match up. I suppose it takes years. And very often we feel guilty for feeling homesick, especially when you're on like these Facebook pages and you see there's so many people that wish to be in your shoes right now. You actually start to think that you feel ungrateful, that people might view you as being ungrateful and not appreciating the amazing opportunity that you've been given. And in saying that, leaving home, it's thrilling, you're excited before you leave to meet new people, new opportunities, and then the reality sets in and homesickness kicks in. And then things don't seem so great at that moment. For many people, homesickness is a very real part of moving away. And it's some people refer to as though you're feeling as though you're grieving, like real grief. And what you're feeling is perfectly normal. And there's every chance it'll pass as you become accustomed to your new surroundings. And after I spoke to quite a few people, everybody seems to be trying the same things to overcome homesickness. And they need to understand what is happening. And by understanding that and dealing with your negative emotions, you are able to, think of strategies to overcome the situation. I mean, it's homesickness. You can read about it. You can speak to others. You will get over it. You just got to persevere. So after speaking to many people and many people reaching out to me, everybody seems to agree that there's 4 stages. And I put some research into this as well. And everyone actually who contacts me, who's been here, who is here already, they say to me, the biggest problem is they feel that the beginning stage is over, like the honeymoon phase is what it's referred to. And I think that's because when you come, you're energized, you're excited by the prospect of change, and you're generally just really enthusiastic. You arrive, everything's clean, neat, amazing. And then you get stage 2, which is where culture, you realize the culture difference is there, the reality of that setting. You might suddenly feel a heightened sense of awareness around change, and you notice all the small differences. That's when you can feel disappointed, you can start to get anxious, and homesickness sets in right there. Then you get stage 3. So people who've been here longer, like myself, and it's known as the recovery stage. So there you start to feel more comfortable and well adjusted. And I think that can come because you start building up new routines. You get into your own habits again. Put yourself out there. You've some familiar faces again. You probably got your own little routine of going to a coffee shop here and the same shop, and that helps with starting to settle in again. You also learn about your new cultures. You adapt to a new home environment, and everything that once seemed so foreign will now seem more familiar. And that helps with the last stage, which is the adaptation stage. And a lot of people say that's quite a good one. And that's the point in your immigration journey where you start to thrive in your new surroundings. You recognize the difference between your new and your old home, and you no longer feel upset by the changes. And that is when you've really overcome homesickness. Some people have said it takes up to 3 years, others say 2. Then I've spoken to some amazing people who say they've never been homesick. So it's really very person dependent. And I suppose it also depends what all you left behind at home. And everybody needs to recognize that you're probably riding one heck of an emotional roller coaster right now, and that it's okay. So I would say the number 1 tip when dealing with homesickness is to not isolate yourself. It's very easy to do, especially when it's winter and there's nothing forcing you to go out. And in many cases, the men go out to work first, and then the women stay home. And with the children, you put them into school and you settle in, and you do that all on your own. You don't know anybody here to help you. So when you are homesick, you often start to feel lonely. And if you isolate yourself, that loneliness you're experiencing will really only worsen. And I went through that as well in the beginning. I mean, we arrived in June last year, and it was lonely without a doubt. Until I got small things, started to get to know my neighbors and go to the same shop every morning. My husband thinks I'm crazy. I still do it. Every single morning I go get the same coffee from the same coffee shop, and those people know me. It's a bit of familiarity for me, and they know my children, and they ask how I am, and that's where the small things are comfort's built on. So I recommend going out, surrounding yourself with people. It doesn't necessarily mean you've got to hang out with people. I mean, you're not just going to go up to strangers. No one's really going to do that. But go to a coffee shop, go to a public park, and surround yourself with people and hear and see what everybody's doing. Then a big thing, which for me at this stage, I don't know, maybe it's just the stage I'm going through, video calling family, that helps. But at the same time, it makes me sad. But it's something to look forward to. But there again, in the same breath, I don't know, this could also be personal, and some people have said they had to take a break from social media, and I think particularly Facebook, because I mean, technology is an amazing way to stay in touch with people no matter where you are in the world, which is great. There's no such thing really as being too connected. But if you're spending 2 hours a day, every day, focusing just on Facebook or speaking to people back home, and you're catching up on every tiny thing happening at home, you're not using that time to settle and explore and connect with your new space. It's important, of course, to keep in contact with family. We all do that. But as time goes on, you'll start to realize you do it less and less. It's not every day. You don't wonder what your family's doing back at home every day, like every minute of the day. So you need to find a healthy balance between your ties to home, and being present in the place that you actually live is vital for developing your life and really your sense of belonging in your new country, which is what we all need. And I think FOMO, that's what I call it, while living abroad is real. Like I say, it's brutal and the struggle is real. Like social media has made it so much easier than ever to keep track of what everyone's doing. And also, I suppose, what everybody wants you to see, even down to what people ate for lunch. And when I was really homesick, those sort of things upset me a lot. And my husband, he was exactly the same. It can be hard to tear yourself away from those updates and photos, especially when you really miss that lunch, that particular meal that you might not get here so often with those people that you don't get to see anymore. But you're actually making your homesickness worse. Instead of following people's every move, focus on finding content for some exciting posts of your own, which is what we started to do as a family. And of course, friends back home are going to concerts and having braais and going out for cocktails at your favorite place down the road and whatever else you did with your group of friends back home. But many of them are probably waiting to see photos of you enjoying your new life in New Zealand as well. And you'll get some positive feedback from people saying how amazing it is, and it'll just boost your overall feeling at that moment. And I say over and over, you got to put yourself out there. To get out the house is really half the battle to beat of homesickness. And the chances are you had hobbies in your home country, and when you're abroad, you need to find places and the same things for you to get into to enjoy those hobbies again, or even make new ones. And do something that you love to put your time into, whether it's getting involved with like your local church is what lots of people say to me. Get involved with your church, go out there in the morning into your kids' school, don't just drop and go. And go meet the teacher, see the parents of the children that your kids play with, and make your time here feel purposeful and enjoyable. And share those experiences with family and friends. Don't keep it to yourself, even if you are feeling homesick. A lot of people have said to me they feel ashamed and embarrassed to speak about being homesick. And look, I think in some cases as well, you get people back home who will say to you, oh, but this was your decision, it's what you wanted. And I also had someone say that to me, and it was hurtful. It really was. And yes, we did make this decision, but nobody can prepare you for what you're going to go through. And they should be supportive, but the same as when you tell people that you're coming over, not everybody is. It's just something that we need to deal with. And work on positive thinking. We need to remember that we are exactly where we wanted to be. All our energy, tears, hours that we put in to be here, we are here now. Now it's about learning to own where you are, choose what you want the next day to look like, and take little steps to get there. And hang on to some of home. Like we've got real little cute family traditions that we still do. You won't be able to recreate your life in your home exactly as it was in South Africa or wherever you're coming from. It will actually upset you if you even try to do that. You don't have to cast it all off though. You can find a way to keep up like we do on our favorite TV programs. We went all out to get used to be on our TV here, and we still watch our favorite things, like the little feeling of home. And we're big on food in our family, so favorite foods, especially good old South African comfort food. So carry over and adapt those traditions. It's who we are, it's part of us. And most importantly, give it time. Don't beat yourself up if you're feeling a bit low. Like I still have those days, particularly on weekends. I actually put a post on the South African migrating group, and that's when a lot of people inboxed me as well saying, oh, weekends are tough. Like sometimes they struggle to get up and they just feel so demotivated. But it's weekends. It's because we've got more time to think. We're not so busy as we were in the week. And missing home's not a sign of failure. It's normal and a necessary reaction to a new situation. We're only human. Just keep doing all the little things that you've always enjoyed. Get out, explore New Zealand, and just don't sit and feel sorry for yourself. And don't be disappointed in yourself if you're not in love with your new environment right away. And I think that's part of, again, with the honeymoon stage. You get here, you're super excited and you love it, and then reality sets in, and that might change for that time that you're struggling. Many people around you may have embraced the new surroundings more quickly, which, yeah, I know people that have never been homesick. But it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. You need to have patience and know that with a bit of perseverance, you'll be able to make it work. So yeah, a year and a half, and we're now finally starting to settle, and everybody's in a little routine, and I think it's definitely getting easier for us now. And all I can really say to everybody is just give it time.
That was great, Yvonne. Fantastic. Another well-prepared presentation on homesickness. I think you covered a lot of bases there. you talked with a lot of people over time. Looks like you have access to quite a statistical resource just from your experience of meeting people. Well done.
Oh, thanks, Tate.
I'm one of those people that hasn't been homesick because I've been away from home all my life, so for so long. So for me, it was quite easy. I'm lucky enough to marry into a family that's quite close. So what we did is many of those things that you mentioned. I mean, keeping those special traditions alive and things like that, and having these holiday times where we're not together, but we're online together for special occasions, and whether it's toasting a drink or cutting a certain kind of a cake that's common in both countries, things like that. It does add value, and I mean, I can see where it would help people as well who have this homesickness feeling, and it adds value anyway, even if you're not homesick.
No, of course, it's important things to do, and I mean, the culture there's a huge difference between South Africa and New Zealand. Just there is a lot, and that you start to realize over time, and it really is what you make of it at the end of the day, and you just got to adapt. And yeah, the small things, like you said, like the same little cake and those little small things is what makes you happy, and you can do it. I mean, on Christmas Day, last year we video called and Skyped, and the kids' birthdays as well. It's not 100% the same, but it's close. Yeah.
I put out a poll, so I don't know if I asked all the right questions. You can give me the poll questions first next time, Yvonne. So we got homesickness. How do you overcome this issue? It's multiple choice, so you can select more than one, but we have easily, 13%. Not easily, no one said anything on that one. Focus on the positive was 38%. Allow time to pass was 33%. Talk about it, Skype, WhatsApp, and other. So obviously I missed something. 11% said other, so there's some specific things to add there. But is there anything that you can add to this topic in general, Yvonne, as far as like, what do you think? Is anything missing? I mean, people may not know that they're homesick. Is there any way to maybe prepare the kids before you come and say, you might miss grandma, but here's what we're going to do about it? Like give a sort of a plan, in other words, preempt the homesickness feeling, because you say a lot of people can feel shame in that. I understand that. You can feel like, oh, am I the only one who feels this way?
Yeah.
No, everyone feels this way at some point and in some way, to some degree. Think about it.
I think especially like me, I'd never even been overseas, so I've never even been on a plane. So it was huge just leaving everything that I knew. And I don't suppose I could have been prepared enough. But I mean, I came over with 3 kids, and their biggest concern was, oh my word, we're not going to see Omi, we're not going to see Opie ever again. So that's your chance where you can start to prepare them and say, but they're going to come visit us. And my eldest was quite aware of, some of the obvious things in South Africa as to the reasons why we were going to leave. He was exposed to some of the things, obviously safety and the obvious things. I mean, you don't want to scare the children while you're still living in South Africa. And yeah, they found reassurance in the fact that they will be able to visit and will be able to Skype. And I mean, of course they cried. They were very, very heartbroken. But time has made that a lot better. And now if I ask them, do you want to go back to South Africa? They say no. And that took about 6 to 8 months for them to say. Every other time was they want to go back. But children adapt really easy. I've probably spoken to, I'd say out of 50 people, or 3 say to me their children are really struggling. And the other thing is children who are at that like terrible 2 age, people often confuse that with, are they struggling to adjust or are they just going through terrible 2? So that can also be a tricky one. Then you feel, geez, what have I done to my child? My child's like acting up and so naughty. And I think that's a lot to do with terrible 2s. I'm on my 4th one that's not yet on terrible 2s, thank goodness. But yeah, it's tough. So yeah, I suppose you can prepare your children and really just, prepare yourself as well. And go over with as much positivity as you can.
Thanks again, Yvonne. Another well-prepared presentation, and very, very valuable to get these insights. You collect lots of information. You know what's relevant to people because they tell you. And and it's really great to get that different flavor every week. I guess after a year, you're probably going to have to repeat some of these topics, but that's fine because things will change.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I was also thinking that today. I was typing and writing and preparing. I was like, oh my word, yeah, make sure every time you're going to have to redo this again for newcomers.
Yeah. All right. Well, I see that the next guest is on, so I guess we'll look forward to you next week, Yvonne, or whenever the next opportunity is.
Perfect. Thanks, Tate.
Take care, Yvonne. Tetra Wheels, Yvonne, up there in Taupo, dealing with people who need to rent cars or purchase them and other things as well. You can look up on the website, right, on the Facebook site. It's with great pleasure that I get to talk with people. This is a great job. This is a fantastic job. You get to meet people who are talented and bring them in on those talents. So you get to know the talents because that's how you get to bring them in. And then you get, you sort of feel like, you want them to be successful. And then when they are, you celebrate with them. And sometimes you get a chance to keep in touch with them now and then. I am so lucky to have this job, and I'm able to help people live out their dreams. And it's what I got to do here too. I mean, I'm a foreigner as well. I think all of us, even the ones who have been hosting this webinar, are all foreigners. And our guests are nearly all South Africans on this site. But then what also happens is, although there's not many participants on this site, we'll have 200, 300, 400 views within the next week. I'm talking about individual views, so independent, so like unique visitors. So there is a group of people out there that just prefer to watch on their own time, and they like to come back. I hear quite often that people are coming back to see things. So Errol M, he is, I guess you could say, friend. I mean, he's not a business partner of mine. He's not a client. He's a friend. Errol M is living in Wellington now, and he came over earlier this year. He's in sales. He was managing director before in a technical environment. So we're talking about technical equipment. And he came over and found a very similar type company, and he found a very similar type role. And I'm interested to find out, because it looks to me like he might have had some of the same. This is what you want to do, in my opinion. You have strengths in your foreign country, right? What are those strengths? Right. Understand what those strengths are. That's the first thing. Match it up with what exists over here, and then introduce yourself to those decision makers that can make it happen. Errol, how are you doing today?
Yeah, good on you, Tate. Good on you.
Did I give the right introduction? What did I miss? Let's talk about you.
Well, yeah, you gave the right introduction. I don't think you missed too much, if anything.
All right. You're in Wellington. You've been there for a number of months. Is it 4? I'm just guessing. How many months?
Yeah, I arrived in Wellington beginning of February, and yeah, I've been, if I can say, working with a company now for 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so 3 months going through all the things with you, and yeah, working for 4. So it's been good.
All right. Well, congratulations again. Has the journey been overall challenging or overall easy? What were some of the rough spots and victories along the way?
Yeah, look, it's never easy. The rough spots were, being here in person and trying to find the job offers, trying to find employment. That's the roughest spot that I had to go through. Once that came through, yeah, then you're sitting with more rough spots waiting for immigration to say yes, and that's out of your hands. So that's that's the worst point, is waiting for immigration to say yes when you can't do anything about it.
That was even worse than the part about the nervousness around finding work. Was only the beginning, and then you had to wait for immigration, and the nervousness of, will the employers rescind their job offer and change their mind?
Yes. Yeah. That is a tough one to I don't want to say handle, but to accept.
So you went in. Is it the same industry or quite close?
It's almost identical industries. The company I was with in South Africa, we had a very specific and a one product focus or one family focus, whereas the company that I'm with now, they in fact have that same product that we supply, but they have a scope of other products as well. So it's almost bigger than what I had in South Africa, but it's the same industry and the same product.
Similar clients and similar sales processes.
Yes. Yeah.
So getting up and running from the technical point of view was not a big challenge?
No, not at all. Not at all.
How about, what did you find different in the process of working? So here you are, you've been deep into technical sales. So you're a specialist of certain types of sales that are very technical.
Yes.
And you've moved countries here. So I think some people would be interested, given that you're in a niche area, what are the differences between the two? And although the product is the same, clients are quite similar, needs are quite similar. Are any of the processes, what are the differences?
For me, the biggest difference is coming from Johannesburg to Wellington. It's, if I could say, almost worse than Johannesburg versus Cape Town. Things here in Wellington are very slow and laid back. So when you want to get things done quick, fast, in a hurry, and, the customers are taking time, your staff are taking time, it's a difficult one to have to sit and think, okay, well, look, I need to sit back and relax and wait for things to happen. Whereas, Joburg, South Africa, things are done quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I've heard that. I've heard other people say that often. Do you think it's something you could get used to as a new lifestyle?
Oh, yes. The company I work for has other South Africans as well. So I'm not the only one, fortunately. And, chatting to them, they've said, look, once you get used to the lifestyle and the slower pace of things, it's a whole lot better. You'll never go back to the rat race that, is Johannesburg.
So the transition is in process, accepting this work-life balance. It's not something you can just do right away. You can't turn it off. No.
I still battle with it after 4 months. But it's getting there.
So it's getting better. Do you think it would help? Have you been out? Have you enjoyed long weekends yet? Have you had a chance for that?
No, we haven't had one yet.
Okay.
Although there's one coming up in 3 weeks. So we'll have a long weekend then.
All right. When I think about you coming over here, and I'm thinking about people that haven't been over here yet, I hear this sort of same questions in people's minds. What are the differences, things to get adjusted to? So the pace of life is one thing. Could you speak perhaps to the work environment? How are the relations between people? Is it also quite relaxed, or how would you speak to the differences of the professional culture?
There's nothing that I've found particularly challenging or different. At the moment, the people I speak to, everyone sort of, if new people or customers that I speak to, or new, people within the company, they all sort of have the same comment. Oh, another South African. So they used to the South Africans, so there's no negativity. It flows pretty easily. It's just, you have to understand that here, with it being slower paced, the way you interact with people here has to be at that level too. If you interact with people, what's the word, too harshly, in South African that would be normal, but here you got to be very slow and if I could say, not so much polite, but a little bit easier going in the way you speak than you would in South Africa.
There's something about feeling as if you're in a smaller community. New Zealand's a small country, and there's something about people hesitate to talk bad about you here because they know it's going to come around. It's a small country. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've noticed. And also, if you find someone in a bad mood, and if they're in the hurry, oftentimes they'll bite their tongue rather than just lash out at you here. In the big city outside in the Northern Hemisphere, watch out,
Yeah.
Or I guess in South Africa as well, right? So this journey's been, you feel like you're coasting, you're coming in now to the zone where you're finding your own, I guess. You've got 4 months in, you recognize that there's adjustments still to be made if you had to pick an adjustment to make, Errol, adjusting to calm yourself down and relax is probably a lot better than trying to do the opposite if you've never done the opposite in your life.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's been nice. But it's, having to slow down. It's taken nearly 3 months after the wife and kids in our container arrived, and we're still trying to unpack and get everything sorted. So, at the moment, you got to work, you come home and you've got things to do. We haven't had that stage yet where a weekend is free, where we got nothing to do. So, at this stage, I'm still busy. That point of, having nothing to do hasn't hit us yet. So I'm waiting for that point.
All right. That probably never will happen for a long time. You'll have some fantastic journeys in New Zealand, and Wellington's a beautiful. What do you think of Wellington? Are you enjoying Wellington?
I am. It's very nice. We've had some good weather the last couple of days. It's the one thing that the wife and I decided, look, there's almost nowhere here in New Zealand where the weather is like Johannesburg, unless you're up in Auckland. So, the weather, we don't put too much emphasis on the weather, but the area, the people, it's all good down here in Wellington.
Great. Just the wind and the rain, slow that down a bit. Perfect then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you remember the hardest and the easiest part about actually finding work? What was your biggest victory? What was the moment that you felt like, yes, you finally got it? The yes, I guess it's the signature. You got the offer. How did that come about? Was this moment quite memorable?
Oh, I'll never forget it. It came after, I think, our first or second discussion when I was here, and you sort of told me, well, just phone the company, because I got the information from one of the other MDs globally about the company here, and you said, well, just phone them, talk to him, find out what the industry is. So I did that, and this was Monday when I phoned, and he said, all right, well, come see me Wednesday. I went to go and see him, have a chat about the industry, about how things are going. I didn't even ask him for employment, and Friday he gave me a job offer.
Okay, sometimes it's the easy thing. You were perfectly matched, though.
Yeah, well, yes, it fell in there. That was the highlight. I can give you number of lowlights, amount of times you speak to people and you get no's and all these things, but yeah, that was the highlight. You find that one right place, right time, in the industry that in the products that if you get that right, it's then easy.
The main factors for you to get in and represent yourself well, what helped you the most? You prepared quite a lot. Do you recall anything specifically that helped you get that job at the interview stage? or were you just being yourself and rolling with the questions and taking it as it comes?
Yeah, Tate, I rolled with it, but I think a lot of it came from, you know, when you and I sat and we did that question video. You know, you gave me a couple questions that made me think about it on the spot, which came up in the discussions that I had with the company. And, you know, having had someone ask those questions, they were then easier for me to answer, and I could then, you know, talk freely. So it was pretty good, and I knew what I was talking about. So I think obviously that showed. When you know what you're talking about, it's easy.
Yeah. Well, being prepared always helps, and going through that interview stage once, then you never go through it the first time again. It's always the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you glad you did it? You this whole thing, this whole effort, are you glad you did it?
Oh, Tate, I am. I'm very glad. It wasn't my first rodeo. We tried in 2009 to do this by ourselves, and it didn't work. Not on our fault, but, you know, this time we put a lot of effort and research and things into it. And if I can say, did it the right way this time, and you had a very big helping hand in my success.
Oh, I appreciate the compliment, Errol. And the first time, was it more just coming on spontaneously and having a look-see, decide, and then checking things out sort of off without too much preparation?
We did absolutely no preparation when we came out here 2009. You know, we came out and decided to try and do something when we were here, which was obviously the total wrong thing to do. No preparation and nothing. And it took us 7 months to realize that it wasn't going to work properly. Because in 2009, you know, you didn't need a visa and you could stay here for 9 months if you had some support, which we did. But yeah, we needed to turn around and go back because we didn't do it properly.
Well, that's a long time to come here on your own coin. And yeah, I guess you learned to do it. It was always there, though, wasn't it? The market was always there. Your skills were always there. It's just a matter of the methodology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Preparation. I get calls quite regularly from people that haven't prepared and they've arrived and then they want help, which I can give them. But if the help is needed within the week, that gets a little tough.
Yeah.
But 7 months is a long time to work with.
Yeah, look, that was 2009. Obviously, when I came through now, you know, we had the whole 6 months that the visa is valid for. And, you know, we had started one a little bit before I left South Africa, but, you know, we only got it going once I was here in New Zealand. We even still waited a little bit too long to get it going. But we started it and we got it going correctly.
The family, how does the family like the change? Have they gotten homesick, as Yvonne was talking about before?
No, not yet. Not yet. You know, the kids at this stage, they're living on their PlayStations and playing with their mates in South Africa. So you know, they've worked out the time differences where they can play online with their mates. So at this stage, they're still happy.
Yeah.
You know, even the wife found a job pretty quickly. So, you know, she's not at home moping around. She's working. So at this stage, it's all happiness.
Fantastic. And how about the adjustment for the kids going to school and the wife in the new work? Has that been rather uneventful, quite smooth?
It has been very smooth. The kids are at college level, with 1 and 2 years left at college. They're finding it relatively easy to cope with the schoolwork. You know, here it's very laid back the way the teachers teach as opposed to South Africa. So they're finding it easy. And yeah, the wife is happy now at the company that she's with. So it's yeah, as you said, relatively uneventful.
Yeah, well, friendships can be hard on people at the college level coming in, but it does happen. It just takes a little bit of time. So if it hasn't happened right away, that's probably the challenging time to come in my opinion, based on my personal experience, and then also talking with my children. That's we have one that's quite younger and one that's older, so that the challenges are there for the teenager that aren't there for the younger.
Yeah, the oldest one, because they're both joined in halfway through the year. The oldest one, he's found a group of friends who are all foreign exchange students.
Oh, right. Perfect.
So all the, I don't want to call them all the new guys are together. So at least, they're not on their own. So they have contact and they have friendships at school. So it's good. They haven't started moping around, which is good.
No, and that's a lot of commonality. I mean, if you had to pick a group, that's it. These are people that are new, and they all have a different story to tell. It's all quite interesting for each person to learn each other person's background and perspectives, and they're sharing the same experience in a sense. Yeah. Great to talk to you, Errol. Anything else that you'd like to say? Maybe some advice for other people sitting on the fence?
The only advice that I've got is, people need to use, if I can say, you and your services. You know what's needed. You're here. You know how to do things. Whereas if you come from South Africa, things happen differently, and there's other things to think about. Then, to give I don't want to say the trust to you, but you know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. So, to let people like you point you in the right direction helps a lot. It really does.
Well, I'm glad you say that, Errol. I try to make people look Kiwi or address Kiwis in the Kiwi way, so that the doors are more friendly, the phones are more friendly, the meetings are more friendly, and people accept, your method, not just your background, but your method of engagement. And it's easy working with the top tier people like you, Errol, I must say, people that come from a background of achievement, and which is more and more what New Zealand is demanding anyway. The top of trades, top of managing, top of, sort of performing. And you have to perform in order to make the money, in order to comply anyway. So it all sort of goes in the same area. But it's
Tate, sorry, the other thing that prospective people need to remember or realize is, you're moving to a new country. You're going to be very lucky if you find employment at the same level as what you did or what you were on in South Africa. I don't want to say took a step down, but I did take a step down. But the living expense and where the salary is at the moment, putting me in exactly the same place as what I was in South Africa. So, be prepared to take that 1 or 2 steps down to get here, and, you can always grow it from there. And us South Africans have a work hard mentality, so it doesn't take long to progress up the ladder. In fact, the wife has been at her company for 2 months now, and she's already had her first promotion. So, take what you can get, but don't be ashamed to take a step backwards.
I think everyone I know almost took a step backwards, and there's a logic to that as well. How do you start managing people right away at the managing director level if you don't know the same things as the people you run? So it's going back into the sales, which you know it quite well. So you'll get there if you want to, or you can just do the work-life balance if you have options.
Yes.
So you didn't suffer economically. You don't perceive that you have a less of a standard of living, even with the step down here.
No. My wife is sitting on the other side of the PC here, and she's shaking her head saying, she thinks we're in a better situation now than we were in South Africa.
Very good. Very interesting. Congratulations. Well done. I'm glad everyone seems to be on board at the family. It must have been a great relief to get that first news. You got the job. Then the second news, you're actually starting to work now with the work visa and that. And then came the people, or maybe the family was already there, and then you brought the container.
No. I was working for, I think, nearly 2 or 3 weeks before the wife and kids arrived. And then it was another 6 weeks before the container with all our household things arrived. So, yeah, we went back to sleeping on blow-up mattresses for a month. But I became the trade me king, and I bought some lounge suite furniture for $1 and a fridge for $10. And, we made do, and we gave that all to expats that came across to help them out, because we got some help. So it's fun.
South Africans have this pay it forward culture here in New Zealand.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we did. All the pieces that we bought for $1, I mean, buy it for $1, you can't now sell it. It's not worth it. So, we put out on Facebook, people in the area that have come across waiting for the container and need a lounge suite, come pick it up. It's yours.
At work, I have to ask this too, Errol. At work, have you experienced where someone says, "Errol, go home. It's Friday. Be with the family"? Have you heard that sort of a message from your supervisor or manager?
Yes. Yeah, once or twice. I've been still sitting at my desk at 6 o'clock when the work hours finish at 5, and the owner has come past and saying, "Well, listen, why are you still here? I'm the one that must be here late, not you." So, yeah.
All right. Well, you've got the Kiwi culture now. You understand it, and it's about that transition to the better life. That's what you wanted, so here you got it.
Yeah, no, we did. And, the wife and I look back and, we upset that we couldn't make it work in 2009. We should have been here 10 years ago. And, yeah, we're not looking back.
Thank you for this interview, Errol. Thank you for, sharing us the insights. It's been a pleasure to work with you. Stay in touch, eh? It's always good to hear from you.
Yeah, no problem, Tate.
Okay. Take care.
Yeah.
Ciao. So I see that there's a message for Julia that someone has asked me. I'll just see if I can pop Julia. We got 5 minutes left, so I hope I'm able to do this in time. If not, we'll just run over. Run over time. Here we go, Julia. I'll unmute. Oh, Julia. Are you there, Julia?
Yeah.
Julia's,
sorry.
yes, you are here. Okay.
Yes,
good.
I am.
All right. So I just had this message here. So someone said, I apologize. I thought I could ask this during the webinar. And so I've got this by email. I didn't notice it until after you finished. So the question here is, you mentioned about that you have to earn something, let's say an amount if you're bringing in a parent and you're the person sponsoring them as the child, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then you earn another amount collectively if you're two people, say two partners, bringing in a parent and bringing them in. Now, here's the proposition is like this. My parents-in-law have 4 out of 5 children living in New Zealand. They're all citizens or residents. I guess it's the same thing legally. Will they be able to collectively, so we're talking not 1 or 2, but 4, right? So yeah. 4. And there's an amount here that suggested that altogether they earn a significant amount of money. I won't say the person's name. The amount that's together is $500,000 a year gross that the 4 are earning together, which sounds quite a lot in New Zealand terms if you break that down. Is there anything in the law about more than 1, or would it have to just default to 1 or 2 of them?
Well, under old policy, it's either 1 child or that child and their spouse. So unless they're going to change that with the new policy, I'd say it's going to be a no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is very much a wait and see thing for the parents bringing over as well. The rules are changing.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great, because I think that would solve a lot of family problems if that could happen. So that would be wonderful if they do write something like that into policy. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll know more next month, and I can update you then.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Julia. It's thanks for coming on and answering that one last question. So I'd like to get everyone in here if we can. It's a small little group here. We do go out, and there probably will be about 300-400 people watching this, unique viewers, after about a week. So there is a regular contingent out there that repeatedly, catches up with us. I guess it's really, just an honor to be here, and you get to meet people like Errol, who've made it and get their views, and you get to feel, how that was actually like, rather than just talk with other people that are trying to get here. You can actually get a sense of what it's like, on that journey to come over. And we try to keep it fresh and keep that information coming from fresh South Africans who have come over, or other foreigners as well. And thank you, Yvonne, for that well-prepared presentation as well on the homesickness. And thanks, Julia, for introducing us to the parents coming over law. How to bring your parents over. Okay, I guess it's about quitting time. Take care, everyone. Enjoy. I'll close this off now. We'll see you next Sunday, same time.